And the family of Erick Tavira, the 17th inmate to die in or immediately following release from jail this year, joined prison reform advocates at City Hall to rally for the closure of Rikers Island. News 12's Jeanne Caldwell has more on what they're calling for.
Losing someone is one of the most undescribable pains my family, like many others, have ever experienced. And when you find out, it doesn't feel real.
The family of Erick Tavira is in anguish after he became the 17th inmate to die at Rikers Island, or shortly after being released this year. Today, his mother and sisters wiped away tears, his aunt falling to her knees.
I'm trying to be hard for my mom. She doesn't deserve to go. No mother. Have to think about burying their kid.
They joined dozens of prison reform advocates on the steps of City Hall today, demanding the jail complex be shut down.
What do you want? Justice! When do you want it? Now!
The Department of Corrections says the 28-year-old committed suicide on Saturday.
When will we say enough is enough? Another life lost will not occur!
The infamous jail has been highly criticized for years for the conditions inside and practices like solitary confinement.
It's Death Island! No one goes there and comes back the same. Too many people are dying.
Gina Pondexter lost her brother, Robert Pondexter, who died shortly after being released from Rikers back in September. She says she knows the heartache Tavira's family is facing all too well.
I asked how many more? I'm tired of asking that question. Now it's who's next?
The Department of Corrections responding in a statement saying, "Our deepest condolences go out to Mr. Tavira's family, friends, and loved ones in their time of grief. We take the health and safety of everyone in our custody seriously, and we are conducting a preliminary investigation into this death." Tavira's family has since filed a wrongful death suit against the city as they continue to mourn him. They hope he can be remembered as a caring soul who was dedicated to helping others. At City Hall, Jeanne Caldwell, News 12.
Live.
Rikers Island after a 28-year-old man died while in custody this weekend.
Advocates say he was the 17th person to die this year at the jail. CBS 2's Lisa Rosner spoke with his family, who's filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Department of Correction.
The family of 28-year-old Erick Tavira says he suffered from schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and that he spent 16 months on Rikers Island waiting for his day in court on a misdemeanor charge for allegedly attacking a 14-year-old without provocation. He was held on $20,000 bail because he was previously charged for assaulting an officer while seeking mental health treatment at a hospital.
They arrested at the hospital when he needed the medicine. Why they don't provide the medicine?
Exactly. Tavira died by suicide Saturday. Tavira's family was joined by the loved ones of two other inmates who died this year, calling on the mayor to close Rikers Island and for the city to end solitary confinement.
And he ended up dying before showing up to court for a minor thing, stealing from a store.
In the middle of the rally, coincidentally, the commissioner for the Department of Correction walked into City Hall but did not respond.
No respect, no answers to the loved one.
We reached out for comment from the DOC. It would only say it extends its condolences to the Tavira family and the death is under investigation. Last month, the New York City Board of Correction found a pervasive issue of officers not making rounds to check on inmates, insufficient staffing a persistent problem, and that staff failed to provide timely first aid in 5 deaths in 2021. Some council members visited Rikers Island yesterday.
Garbage strewn everywhere, food tossed everywhere. This is no condition for human beings.
The Treatment Not Jails Act would increase opportunities for mental health treatment instead of jail. It is unclear if it will pass the state legislature this year. At City Hall, Lisa Rosner, CBS 2 News.
The mayor's office did not get back to us for this story, and while the Department of Correction did not comment directly on today's rally, it did recently say it's reduced violence at Rikers and that an increase in searches has resulted in nearly 1,000 weapons being discovered at Rikers Island alone.
It feels so unfair, not just for my family, but for everyone else that's part of this.
This is the family of Erick Tavira. The 28-year-old man died on Rikers Island on Saturday. It's a suspected suicide and the 17th death of someone in custody or recently released from custody this year.
We want justice, not just for my brother, for all 16 cases.
Another heartbreaking scene and potential casualty of the chaos on Rikers Island.
I want to give my condolences to Mr. Tavira's family, his mother, and the rest of his relatives and loved ones on his passing. He was also in our custody for 494 days, and it speaks to the importance of having a temporary detention system where these cases move quickly and swiftly through the courts so that people can have closure and get the support that they may need for whatever mental health or medical conditions that they have.
Correction Commissioner Molina was at City Hall on Tuesday, answering questions about drugs on Rikers before the City Council.
We inherited a department on the brink of collapse.
It's primarily drugs and suicides that are driving the death count on Rikers Island since 2021. The hearing also follows an exclusive New York One investigation earlier this month detailing how drugs have come onto Rikers Island. The commissioner contends the drugs are coming through the mail, showing the council pictures of fentanyl-soaked pieces of paper coming by postman. They plan to implement a new system to scan mail onto tablets. But some council members question whether the department needed to put more scrutiny on staff, including using airport-like body scanners at entry points.
I find that some of these numbers are low and they would be much higher if people were all subjected to the similar search. So hopefully something more robust is implemented.
I know you're focused on visitors, and I hope that you will similarly focus on DFC staff.
So I agree with you, and I have been advocating for infrastructure investment in our department.
He said he gets the idea in principle, but says the department does not have the space or cash for them now. At City Hall, Courtney Gross, New York One.
Elected officials are speaking out after an unannounced visit to Rikers Island. It comes after another inmate committed suicide over the weekend and marks the 17th death in custody this year. News 12's Faith Graham joining us now from Rikers. Faith, what did those officials who were there earlier today have to say?
Well, Amanda, they had a lot to say, and they all seemed to reiterate the same concerns. They were disappointed after seeing the jail's conditions firsthand, and they all tell me something has got to change before more lives are lost.
I had no expectations for this visit to Rikers Island, and yet it was worse than I even imagined.
Council members Lincoln Ressler, Sandy Nurse, and Jennifer Gutierrez were just a few of several elected officials who walked through Rikers Island today.
It was sad for me personally, but I went in there to talk to some of the detainees, to really let them know that we were there to elevate their issues if they felt like there were violations.
While there, the officials had a chance to see the living conditions for themselves.
There was water leaking everywhere, strewn across the floor. Garbage was everywhere. Food was everywhere, tossed around. It was just terrible.
They also spoke with inmates and say many shared stories of being locked in their cells for more than 20 hours at a time.
You know, they say, why am I in the box? I'm not supposed to be in the box. They think that they are being punished when they normally are in a general population setting.
This all comes on the heels of yet another death in custody. On Saturday, the DOC says 28-year-old Erick Tavira committed suicide while at the George R. Vierno Center. His family has since filed a wrongful death suit against the city, and the loss is what prompted the unannounced visit in the first place.
Every attempt at a suicide is a jab at how this is an ineffective system. It's a complex for a reason.
So we have to do better in ensuring that people can make their days in court by making sure they stay alive while they are under state custody.
Now, these elected officials are not the only ones upset with the jail. Tomorrow, the family of Erick Tavira, as well as other advocates, will actually be rallying outside City Hall to call on the city to close the jail. We did reach out to the DOC for comment on that rally, as well as today's unannounced visit. We have not heard back yet. Outside Rikers Island, Faith Graham, News 12.
These issues we keep coming back to. Faith, thank you.
Disturbing. It's insulting.
After her son died in a Rikers Island shower stall, Tamara Carter has trouble even looking at these pictures. Obtained exclusively by the I-Team, they show stalls that are more like locking cages in multiple Rikers Island showers, all apparently in use, even after the Department of Correction pledged to dismantle this shower cage.
To now know what he went through, It's heartbreaking to me. It's devastating.
In August of last year, Carter's son, 25-year-old Brandon Rodriguez, hung himself while locked in a Rikers shower cage.
They killed my son, and it's okay.
The narrow locking stalls were designed to be decontamination showers, places to rinse defendants off after they're sprayed with chemicals used to break up fights. But according to this lawsuit, a stall was used not as a shower, but as a cage to keep Rodriguez isolated for more than 6 hours, even though he suffered from bipolar and depressive disorders.
He at least 6, 7, 8 different times while he was in this shower cell said he was going to kill himself.
What purposes would it serve to lock someone in a cage in a shower area?
It was just last month, after pressure from the Board of Correction and after the I-Team first revealed photos of people locked in this shower stall, that Rikers Island brass pledged to dismantle it.
We will remove the cage.
But at that time, the Correction Department would not answer questions about other shower cages. The attorney for Brandon Rodriguez's family says it all amounts to doublespeak.
So I believe that they took the position that if we present to the public that we are going to decommission this particular shower cell in this particular building, hopefully no one will ask the appropriate follow-up question and say, well, is that the only one that's in use, and what about the others?
The I-Team did follow up. Using the Freedom of Information law, we obtained these photos of at least 8 other shower stalls still with locking cages, even though this one was taken down. We also obtained an email from Correction Commissioner Molina, sent just weeks before the DOC pledged to dismantle this cage. Molina wrote, "As for the decontamination shower, I am not inclined to dismantle it. It serves a useful purpose, and we do not have a reasonable alternative at present." Tamara Carter questions how any locking shower cages could still be considered useful after what happened to her son.
It seems like they're very blatantly telling us we're still going to torture people.
We have been asking the Department of Correction why one shower cage would be taken down, but 8 others would be left up. A short time ago, a spokesperson responded, telling us the design layout of that one stall allows the cages to be dismantled, but the department believes the layout in other buildings would make it unsafe to remove locking barriers from the shower stalls. The DOC says starting in July, a memo went out ordering correction officers to stop using the showers as holding pens and only to use them for rinsing off those chemicals. But critics say if they are no longer going to be used as holding pens, they don't need locking doors and gates.